Hello there. This video is going to tackle the References tab in Word 2013. As you see, there are a multitude of options. In this video, we're going to tackle footnotes, citations, and captions, as those are items that could appear on the certification exam. Table of contents, index, and table of authorities are not in the skills measured on the Word Core exam, but are in the Word Expert exam. So we will tackle those in the advanced course. We'll start with footnotes. We have two types of footnotes. We can have a footnote or an endnote. An endnote's not technically a footnote, but it's in the footnote group. If I want to create a footnote, I highlight some text, simply click Insert Footnote, and notice at the bottom of my page I get a footnote, and we will type the web address here for .easy. Make that our footnote. Now the default is continuous numbering throughout, regardless of section or page. So if I go down here to section 2, which is my second document, and were to highlight, we'll just say this right here, and click Insert Footnote, notice we get number 2, and we will say this is incorrect code. Now use, we close our image tag. So there's our footnote. Now I can change that by going up here to the footnote dialog box launcher. Footnotes are at the bottom of the page. We're going to match the section layout if there are columns. We're going to reset after each section. We're going to apply this change to the whole document, and we're going to apply. And notice now, I will zoom in down here for you. Notice now our footnote is number 1. Up here on page 3, our footnote is number 1. If I were to undo that change, which I will, come back here, and now we have number 2. Those are footnotes. Endnotes are like footnotes, except they appear on a separate page at the end of the document. I cannot insert a footnote or an endnote while I'm in a footnote. So if I were to take this HTML tag and insert an endnote, I will do that, and notice we get our own page with our first endnote. By default, endnotes are numbered by lowercase letters, Roman numerals. So our first one is lowercase I, then we have 2 I's, 3 I's, IV, V, so on in lowercase. Now, since I have endnotes and footnotes from anywhere in the document, if I were to click the Show Notes button, do I want to view my footnote area or endnote area? I will make a selection, and I will be teleported to the nearest footnote. This option here, Next Footnote, I will click, and I don't have a next footnote because this is the last one in my document, but if I click the drop down, I can go to Previous, which will teleport me to footnote number 1, or I can go to Next Endnote, which will teleport me to the endnote in the document, not the actual endnote page, but where the endnote was in the document. If I now go to Next Endnote, I don't have a next one because I'm below that page. Next Endnote will not take me to the endnote page, it'll take me to where I inserted the endnote in the document. Now, let's talk about citations and bibliographies. There are multiple styles of citations supported in Word 2013. Here are our options. The default is APA, which is typically used in the sciences. MLA is typically used in language arts, and there are various other options here depending. The most popular is probably Chicago. We will go with MLA, and I can now manage sources. So if I click here, I can now add in a source. So I type in the type of source, pick the type of source, excuse me, and I have information. So we will say myself, Word 2013, get certified, 2013, we will put New York, publisher was Wiley, and the medium is book. Now I have a citation that I can place in my document. Notice here, if I've cited it in the document, I will have a check next to my cite. The master list is saved in the normal template. Once I add a source, it'll be available in all documents. If I want to put it in my current document, I click it and click copy to move it to my current document. I will show you quickly by opening a new document, going to References, Manage Sources. There's my source. I can copy it and place it in this document as well. Close that out, return to our previous document. Alright, so this paragraph here about for hosting of a website happened to be out of my book, my fictitious book. So I can click here, and I can now click, since I have a source, Insert Citation. Which source do I want to insert? Or I can add a new one, or I can add a placeholder for a source I'm going to put in later. So if I check right here, we get the last name. Now, if you're familiar with MLA format, you'll also know that MLA requires a page number. So if I click within my citation, click the drop down and say Edit Citation, I can now insert a page number, which this happened to be on page 128 through 130. And there's my cite. Now, as you probably know, at the end of my document, I must create a Works Cited page. So I'm going to insert a page break here to get my own page here. And then I'm going to go back to the References tab. I'm going to go to Bibliography, and I have three options: Bibliography, References, and Works Cited. As you know, or may not, but I will tell you, MLA calls this page Works Cited. Bibliography is used in APA formats. So here's my Works Cited page. The only thing that's not MLA ready is the title is not centered. I center my title. There's my Works Cited page. Now, you might say this. You might say, well, Crompton, why didn't I just create the Works Cited page on my own instead of going to all that trouble of entering the source, clicking this, clicking that? There's one very good reason for that. I can dynamically update this. Let's say I add another source. As we know, MLA Works Cited goes in alphabetical order. So I'm going to add another source. This is another book. This book was by Sam Adams. And this book was The History of Virginia, 1776 through 1785. This was written in 2010. It was published in Richmond. The publisher again was Wiley, and it was a book. Now I understand this has absolutely nothing to do with the document we're working in. It's just an example. So if I were to click OK, notice now I have Adam Sam, The History of Virginia. Now, on my Works Cited page, well, wait a minute. Now I have a source. Where do I put it? It has to go above Crompton Justin now, doesn't it? Because Adams comes before Crompton. So, do I have to reformat my thing? Do I have to type it in? No. If I click Update right here, boom, there we go. Our new entry. Doing it this way saves you time because it allows you to quickly make changes to the Works Cited. Once we set it up, it's easy to add, delete, change, or cite a source within the document. So this is a very useful feature, and one I recommend you use when you're typing reports in Word. Now, from the certification angle, footnotes will be more of a tested topic than citations and bibliographies. Now, I don't know that for sure, but I have an educated guess on that. Footnotes would be a more tested topic. We have looked at footnotes, we have looked at citations, now let's look at captions. We actually talked about captions in a previous section, but I'll review it here. So we can click on an image, a table, a graph, a chart, etc., and go to Insert Caption on the Captions group on the References tab, or we can right click and select Insert Caption. Now our label here is either one of the defaults, figure, equation, image, or table, or a label we've created. I created one here called Office Clip Art, and it'll give us a number. Now that number I cannot remove here. I can number it though either with numbers, letters, or Roman numerals, lowercase or uppercase in the case of Roman numerals and letters. Now if I want to get rid of a label like this one, which I used in the previous session, I can click delete label and it goes away. So if I click OK, there's my caption. Now because of wrapping and actually put my caption in the middle, I can just drag it back down here to the bottom, and there it goes. Now a caption is simply a text box inserted into my document. Now if I click insert caption again, I will get number 2 this time, and it will just put somewhere in my document, which will create all kinds of formatting issues, so I'm going to undo that. Come up to my HTML, insert caption. Now, since HTML comes before body, this is actually going to be number 1. Like so. And now we have Office Clip Art number 2. On my page here, I can now insert what's called a table of figures. If I click this, and I'm just going to use all the defaults here, I now have my 2 captions and the page which the image appears. These are links, so if I control click the link, I will be teleported directly to that caption. So in this lesson we looked at footnotes, citations, and captions. As I said previously in this video, I would spend my practice on footnotes and captions. I would not worry about citations and bibliographies as much for the certification exam. However, that's a very useful thing to use if you ever have to type a research report or other type of formal report for school, your job, etc. I would expect to see at least captions on the certification exam and quite possibly footnotes as well. That concludes this video. In our next video, we will be looking at tracking changes and comments. I hope to see you there. In the supplementary materials, as always, this document will be there with the Works Cited page, the sources, and the captions for the 2 images we just captioned.